Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of November 19, 2017. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an amazing week it is. It'll feel pretty darn amazing, especially in the early part of the week when there is some tension, I gotta say. So what we're having in the early part of the week is Mars speaking with Pluto. So this type of conversation happens about once a year. And when it does, it denotes a time when we feel a certain tension. Tensions can be high, sensitivities can be high as well. Our reactions can be high also. Now, the important thing to keep in mind though is this is not Uranus, okay? So what I mean by that is this isn't a surprise. It isn't like something comes out of nowhere and surprises us and we go, oh my God, where did this come from? Chances are these are emotions, these are feelings that have been building for a while. And so this is a time where they just come to the surface a little bit more. It is important for us to be mindful of putting ourselves into situations where we know sensitivities are heightened or we're more likely to have our buttons pushed, if you will. That's the kind of energy we have here. So it's heightened to sensitivities, it's feeling more vulnerable, and it's feeling as if we could react in a moment that something happens. It may seem slight on the surface, but we could have some very strong reactions. Very important now to take very good care of ourselves. I am a very big believer in self-care as a spiritual practice. So we do it to the best of our abilities, of course, on any given day, and there's no judgment in that, right? Every single one of us on the planet are doing our absolute best. When we've got a sky like this, it's important to amp up our self-care routines, our self-love routines, wherever it is that we can feel a greater sense of connection to the calm within us is that much more helpful, because energy like this, it can feel a little bit draining in the early part of the week in particular. Mars right now moving through the sign of Libra. And so this is a sign that has to do with relationships. It has to do with partnerships. And there's nothing that shows us what is inside us like our one-on-one alliances and our one-on-one relationships. So it becomes that much more important to practice self-love, to practice self-care within ourselves as we interact with the world, as we interact with other people. I would also say with this that it becomes that much more imperative to consider how we can be kinder in the world as well, and to forgive other people the slight things that happen throughout any given day. All of us is doing our best, even when it's misdirected, even when it really doesn't look like that on the surface, even when intellectually they know better, but on some instinctive level, we all are doing our very best. So if we can grant that to other people, it can go a very long way to making sure that this energy doesn't have to be that big or doesn't have to be as dominant in our lives. And I think that we're actually going to get there, because what's also happening this week is Venus. Venus is speaking in harmony with Pluto. I absolutely love this. I feel like the potential is there for us to understand more deeply how to bring love, how to bring kindness, and how to smooth forward the path from here. Now, the interesting thing about Venus right now speaking with Pluto, I must say, if you think back to last week, it was the most romantic day of the year, right? We had Venus meeting Pluto in the sky, but it was also pretty intense as well. There was a lot of truth to that energy and also some drama as well. And it was as we moved through the week that Venus spoke with Neptune that more of an energy of ease and forgiveness started to set in. Well, here we are right now with Venus speaking in harmony with Pluto. I look at this and I feel like this is the step forward. This is the action plan. This is knowing now not only how to make sense of what was so romantic and what transpired and what opportunities cropped up for us. How is it now that we can take that energy and move ourselves forward so that we experience more love in all of our moments and in all of our life? And the fact that Venus is speaking in harmony with Pluto this week actually encourages me a lot, with the Mars speaking with Pluto as well, because Venus and Mars have this certain affinity with each other. They are considered cosmic lovers after all. And so even though they're not communicating with each other in a certain type of, we like to call it a Ptolemaic aspect, not to put my astrology nerd hat on here, but basically they're not speaking in a classical type of conversation. Still, the fact that Venus is also speaking with Pluto this week gives me tremendous hope that these energies will find a way to balance themselves out, that we will find a way to bring love when emotions run high, and we will find our way forward and empowered in the meantime as well. Now, elsewhere in the sky, I gotta say the sun is moving into the sign of Sagittarius. So very big happy birthday month to the Sages out there. The sun is moving on and changing signs. And when the sun moves into the sign of Sagittarius, it denotes the beginning of a month of a good 30 days when we are more not concerned, but more like we're more interested in, or we find our light, we find our power through the exploration of philosophical pursuits. Now, the sign of Sagittarius rules a lot of things: travel, legal matters, political matters. And so we should see some illumination on that front as a collective. Now, finally, Mercury is now in shadow. This is very important because this is actually part of a larger cycle. Mercury is going to comfortably be in the sign of Sagittarius right into January, right into the new year is going to be in this part of the sky. So we've got a good 2 months of this energy to go. And while Mercury is now in shadow, moving forward, we'll reach out and speak in supreme harmony with Uranus. And this is actually part of a larger dance. Uranus is going to come back, go retro, speak in supreme harmony with Uranus, go direct, speak in supreme harmony with Uranus. So there is this continued dance between these planets. Now, I want you to think back a little bit. Think back to the spring, the early spring, the mid-spring. That was when we had a Mercury retrograde season. And we had that particular Mercury dancing with Uranus as well. Now, that was a different type of conversation. But it was during that time that it was this idea of consideration and reconsideration and reevaluation met these bursts of clarity, these opportunities to leap our life forward. Well, it's kind of like that now, except this time those bursts forward, those leaps forward are supremely fortunate. They are the kind that fill us with hope, that fill us with possibility, that really make us feel like we can move forward in our life and into a loving future. So it's important to watch what is taking place in your life right now this week, because it is this week that is going to show us in some strong ways what some of the larger themes of this Venus retrograde season that's going to take place over the next 2 months or so, what this larger season is meant to be about for us. And what arises now, we are actually going to return to in some way again and again. We're going to return to it because Mercury is going to return, is going to speak with Uranus again, and then a third time as well. So important to pay attention now to understand what the larger learning and the larger themes of this Mercury retrograde season are meant to be for you. What I love about this week for all of us is this understanding that as much as life can show us what's within us and the depth of our feeling, at the same time, the universe can grant us freedom, can grant us a sense of possibility and a sense of moving our lives in a positive direction. Information is key now. Conversations are key now to lightening our load and allowing us to feel that much more excited about a bright future ahead. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful for it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up. It means so much. And you can go online right now at astrofabulous.com or nadiyashah.com. Sign up to be my superstars. Superstars get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week. So all this wonderful stuff I spoke about, mainly I know for each and every sign, I talked at length about Mars speaking with Pluto and Venus speaking with Pluto. And I talked about the Mercury retrograde season. And one other thing that I forgot to mention that I really should, because it is very important, one thing happening this week that I also talked about for the superstars, that is Neptune. Neptune is going direct now. This is very exciting. I think that A lot of us out there in at least one area of life are going to feel like we have stepped out of a fog. We're going to feel like things all of a sudden, for some of us out there, it'll be like, in an instant. For others, it'll be a little bit more gradual over the course of a few minutes or a few hours. It'll start to feel like things are getting a lot more clear. With Neptune retrograde, it can start to feel a little bit like we want to believe in love, but we're wondering if it's just about our hope, if it's just what we want and it's not really there. We want to believe in possibilities for our life, but then at the same time, we're more aware of our disappointments. We can either go into a super idealism place or we can become kind of pessimistic. Well, with Neptune moving forward now, the energy becomes a lot more balanced. It becomes a lot more about seeing and experiencing our faith in real time and understanding how sometimes, things don't always seem so clear. However, those times have value, those times have wisdom, and they allow us to appreciate those other moments when we can feel grounded, but also feel connected to divine inspiration. Well, that balance of groundedness and inspiration is going to start to feel that much more easier going forward after this week. Now that over the course of this week, Neptune will go direct, and I'm super excited about that. I wanted to share a little bit of a personal insight, a personal story, if I may. I am very grateful for you guys. I'm very grateful for this space. I'm very grateful that we have these exchanges. It means so much to me that you share your sacred journey with me. And so I'll tell you a little bit something. I don't talk about myself, my chart that much. Once in a while, I'll leave a little bit. I'll include a little bit. But, something very interesting happened, and I was reminded of that this is very interesting. So over the course of this year, I have had a very interesting year in my own life, in my own journey. It has been a very interesting year for me, and I realized what it was about. And so I have a friend, a very dear friend, astrologer Andy, who lives in Philadelphia. Anyways, he has taken to sending me these celebratory messages every time this year, every time that Saturn conjuncts my moon. And so this year, over the course of this year, I've had a few moments with Saturn conjunct my moon. Right now, as I'm recording this, Saturn is exactly right on top of my moon. And I'll tell you, it's like I have so much like love and compassion and understanding for those times, because I'm experiencing it right now in my own life, where there's this really great stuff happening. There's these beautiful things happening in the sky. There's a whole lot of potential. There's a whole lot of promise. There's things that we can do. And at the same time, in our own charts, we can have things happening that are very challenging, that are very difficult. And, I have come to understand, and I did a video on this a while ago where I talked about Jupiter, why isn't Jupiter bringing me big blessings, right? I did that video a couple of years ago, and it's on my YouTube channel. I'll try to link to it somewhere here. But I talk in that video about how when there are things happening in your own chart that are really strong, that are really big, that can be challenging if you don't actively work the energy and then surrender the rest, because there's only so much we can do. If you are not doing that, then it can feel like, why is all this amazing stuff happening, but why am I feeling not as connected to the amazing things that are happening right now? Well, it's because when there's challenging things in your chart, it is harder to feel that sense of connection to the positivity that's available to you right now in this moment. And those times are part of life. And those times you just got to flow with it. You just got to go with it. So yes, I am celebrating the last conjunction of Saturn to my moon. I won't have to see this again for a very, very long time to come. And for that, I am truly very grateful. But it's also a part of life. I've come to understand that sometimes there are things in a chart that can be really good, and sometimes there can be things that can be challenging, and it's about using it all to your advantage. So I've had a very interesting year as we are finishing off this year. The first conjunction, I was at the conference, the NCGR conference in Baltimore in February. And that was a really rewarding experience, but I was also really tired. I really did not have a lot of energy, and I did my best. I showed up, I did the talk. I was really grateful to have that opportunity. I met so many amazing friends and fans, but I found it kind of challenging, and then I had to leave right away. I couldn't hang around. The second conjunction was really interesting. That was back in May, and sort of in the span of a couple of days right in the middle of the transit, I let go of the place that I was staying, so I basically became homeless. But I went to Asia for 2 months. I decided to start tapping into that energy a little bit more consciously by traveling, because it is a Sag moon after all. So I decided to start doing that and traveling and learning about different philosophies and things like that. And then the third conjunction is right now, and I still don't have a permanent home. I have my parents' home, which is great. And I'm a big believer that wherever you lay your hat, that is your home. That is a philosophy that has guided me well in my life. But I have been learning more about home, and I'm really very excited now. I had my grandmother, she was very sick, and just heard, literally just before recording this, just heard that she's going to be fine. And so I'm really, really, really grateful to that. Thank you so much, universe, because I was worried. My other grandmother, she passed away a couple of years ago, and I remember there was something else happening in my chart at that time, but I remember I was in Mexico, and then I found out that she was going to pass, and I had to go back. I'd literally just been here a week that time, and I had to go back right away to say goodbye. So I'm really grateful that my grandmother, my last surviving grandparent, is fine for today. And so that's really nice. I celebrate that. So that is the celebratory image, right? Knowing that there is some strength and some emotional resources within us when we're going through really tough moon aspects. Knowing that that's within us, I think, is part of ultimately how we come to know ourselves that much more better. So yeah, Saturn's conjunct my moon. So I get it. I feel you. When friends and fans and superstars, when they leave comments and they're like, I know there's this really good energy happening and I kind of sense it, but then I'm feeling like this, or I'm feeling stagnant, or I'm feeling frustrated, whatever. I want to reach out and give them a hug, because I want to say, I get it. Me too. I totally get it. And this is part of, I think, what brought me to astrology, really in the first place. It was always part of my life, and I was kind of studying it ever since I was a child, but it really was what made me really give my heart and soul to astrology, was when I was having Pluto conjunct my moon, when I was having my Saturn return. That was when I really said, oh my God, there is wisdom in this, and astrology pointed the way to that wisdom. And it also made me more aware of the present moment. It also helped me to appreciate that, even though this really tough thing is happening in my chart, I know that right now, today, there's something beautiful happening in the sky, and that means something beautiful can happen in my life. So I hope that wherever you are right now, whatever transits you have in your chart, and however it is that you are feeling, that you take that moment to appreciate how much beauty there is available to us, how much love there is available to us, how much wisdom there is available to us right here in this moment today. Thank you so much for watching. It's almost over for me anyways, and then it'll be something else. But yeah, Saturn is almost done with my moon. I think I might have an online party to celebrate when Saturn leaves the sign of Sagittarius, because that hasn't been an easy transit for me. But Saturn will leave Sagittarius. Everything changes, everything moves. All things are cycles. And on the other side, we find ourselves. Well, thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.